be someone who is, today we have a new kind of fad in I don't know if fad is an old word, I don't know if you guys know that, but it's like a kind of a way that people follow in terms of dieting, which is the fasting diet. If you come across the 16 hours fasting, you have the 5-2 diet and the 16-8 and the, I don't know, there's different types of, where people are fasting. They're not fasting because of ibadah, they are fasting because they want to lose weight, or they're fasting to become healthy. Now their intention is not intention to do, so if that person, for example, is just in their mind that I'm just fasting tomorrow because it's part of my healthy fasting, I don't have the intention, and it happens to be Ramadan, but they are not aware, they haven't made the intention, they haven't made the conscious decision that I'm fasting Ramadan tomorrow, I'm just fasting for my health reasons, then obviously that fast doesn't count, because the intention has to be there. And the intention has to be there before the start of the fast. So that is before Fajr. The second element of fasting, to be correct, is to withhold, to stop. We're going to leave questions to the end because I think otherwise too many interjections. We're going to have we're going to split the session into two. So we'll leave questions. If you make a note of your question, then. Siyam, linguistically, siyam or sawm is about holding, abstaining, stopping. That's linguistically. In this context, it's about stopping things which break your fast. So you have the intention, number one. Secondly, to withhold, to abstain from things that break your fast. Al-imsak anil mufattirat. That's all that fasting is about, really. Is if you do those two things, those are the pillars of your fast. Okay. Those are the pillars of the fast. So now then we need to know, if we go back to the intention is not about you have to say something with your tongue. It's not about that you have to say specific words. Intention is about conscious decision, a decision that I'm gonna fast. Ulama have differed about whether you have to have this intention. Is it enough just to have the intention at the beginning of Ramadan and that's it? I just at the beginning of Ramadan say I'm going to intend to fast Ramadan and that's it? Or is it something that you intend every day? The opinion that I follow is that it should be every day. Why? Because every day is an ibadah on itself. Every day is a new ibadah. And so because it's a new ibadah, it needs a new intention. And that intention means that you have to have the intention before Fajr. Can you do the intention before you go to sleep? Yes. You can put your head on the bed, on the pillow and say, tomorrow I'm fasting. That's fine. Even if you don't get up for suhoor, even if you don't wake up before Fajr, that's fine. But your intention must be before Fajr, not after Fajr. Alright? Don't, after you've woken up, you looked at the time and, I didn't make the intention. So always have your intention before Fajr. This is for the obligatory fast. We're not talking about the recommended fast. That's a different ruling. Now, what are the things that break our fast? Because we have to, the second pillar, remember, is about abstaining from anything that breaks our fast. So, we know from the general ahadith and the Quran that really it's about abstaining and withholding from any substance which enters into the body cavity. Okay, the body cavity, basically inside us, we have a cavity, like a hole, if you like, which extends from here, goes all the way down, the esophagus, it's a bit of biology for you, into the stomach, and then goes all the way through the intestines and then comes on the other side, okay? The back passage. This is basically like a cavity, because in theory, in reality, it's a connected passage. So anything that enters the body cavity, any substance, and by substance we're talking about something that is liquid, something that is solid, entering the body cavity is gonna break the fast. But it has to enter from an open cavity. And the open cavities are essentially the nose, nasal cavity, the mouth, which we call the oral cavity, or from the other side, the front or the back passage. Okay, so anything that enters from any of those, that is gonna essentially break the fast. It doesn't matter how little it is. All right, even if it's a small amount, even if it's one drop, even if it's, you have to prevent yourself from making anything enter. Now, in this regards, it's important that a person guards themselves from entering and not doing anything that might compromise their entering. So, if you do things which are normal activities, that's fine. Like, for example, you're doing wudu and you're rinsing your mouth, that's fine. However, the moment you start to do more than what is needed from you and you risk swallowing something, you will become blameworthy. You might be breaking your fast if you do that. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, بالغ في الاستنشاق ما لم تكن صائما. You should be excessive or meticulous in nasal irrigation, washing your nose, as long as you're not fasting. This, as long as you're not fasting, tells us that when you are fasting, don't be excessive. Why? Because if you're excessive and water ends up going down your nose and in your throat, you have broken your fast. All right? Or you're making wudu, that's fine. But if you start, you start playing with water, you're fasting and you want to cool down and you're just cooling down, and then you swallow something, well, why are you playing with water? Why are you putting water in your mouth to cool down? That is negligent, and that will break your fast. So anything that is negligent is going to break your fast. And similarly, if you're going to take nasal drops or things like that which enters the body via the cavity, that's going to break your fast. Does the inhalers for asthma, the salbutamol, does that break your fast? This is one where the ulama have differed. Some say yes, it breaks your fast. Some say no, it doesn't break your fast. Why did they differ? Because they differed about the medicine in the asthma. Is it a substance or is it just like air? Because you smell, you are breathing air. Air doesn't break your fast. Or, aromas, if you like, gases don't break your fast unless you purposely inhale them. So this inhaler, is it a substance or not? Those who said it's a substance say it breaks your fast. And that's the opinion that I follow. Those who say it's not a substance, say it will not break your fast, and so that's fine. Now, if anything enters the body not from the usual cavities, so if something enters via the skin, say you're applying oil to your skin or creams or whatever, then this is not a normal body cavity. It's not the body cavity, so it doesn't break your fast. Controversially, again, some people will say even if you had a drip, in your vein, and that drip is basically full of nutrients, so you could be putting all different types of nutrient, have some proteins, some carbohydrates, everything's going into there. They said that doesn't break your fast. Why? Because it's not a normal cavity. Does it contradict the spirit of fasting? Yes. Because at the end of the day, when you have drips, which has glucose, essentially your body is going to have a message saying, I don't need to eat, I've got enough glucose, I'm not going to eat. So you won't feel hungry. But it goes against the nature of fasting. Some will say it breaks your fast, but again, the opinion that I follow is that it doesn't break your fast. Similarly, if you have any other injections, you have vaccines, immunization, you have an injection for your dental work, all these kind of things will not break your fast because it's not a substance entering your body cavity from an open source. The eyes are not an open cavity. The ears, although some of the fuqaha said ears are an open, but they're not really. The ears doesn't communicate with the mouth. There is a tube, but usually things that go inside your ear don't go inside your body unless there's damage. That's a different thing. Now, if that is the case, you have to be careful of not swallowing anything that is inside your mouth, which shouldn't be inside your mouth. So if you have saliva, which is normal, that's fine, that's normal. However, and this is something that we have to pay attention to, if you are ill and you have a chest infection, and that chest infection means that you have phlegm. You all know what the phlegm is, yeah? Phlegm that comes out. If you happen to bring that phlegm out, and it comes inside your mouth, and then you choose to swallow it, this is now a substance, and it's going inside your body cavity, so that's going to break your fast. So be careful. And that's why it's very important that when you're fasting, make sure you're carrying a tissue with you all the time. Because anytime you have a phlegm, you should just spit it out. Don't swallow it, because that's going to break your fast. Even in salah. In salah, you happen to cough and something comes out, khalas. Get your tissue out. Or use your clothes. I know it doesn't sound nice, but you use your clothes and this actually, there is a hadith, which is a strange hadith, but it is there, that Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anh, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by many years, Abu Hurairah also had something like a phlegm or something, and he ended up having to spit it out into his cloak. His cloak was like made out of cotton. Cotton was like a valuable commodity. So he was saying, oh, look at Abu Hurairah now, he's able to spit into cotton. Before you would see me, I would lie on the ground because I didn't even have any food to eat. And I was so poor, I was literally on the floor, couldn't find it. Now I can spit into cotton, yeah. Now I have clothes and things. Like, see how he's not saying it to boast. He's saying it like, subhanAllah, how things have changed. I used to be so poor. Now I have some money, I've built myself. And in a way, he might be also saying that, things have changed for us in a negative way. Anyway, the point being is, anything that comes into your mouth, you shouldn't allow it to go back, because that is in danger of violating this aspect of the fast. However, one thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned, whoever eats or drinks whilst fasting, but he has forgotten that he's fasting. So من أكل أو شرب وهو صائم من نسي فأكل وشرب وهو صائم فليتم صومه فإنما أسقاه الله وأطعمه. That if somebody eats or drinks whilst fasting, but they forgot that they were fasting. It happens sometimes, especially in the early days of Ramadan. You're not used to the routine. You got up, you made yourself something to eat, and then you ate and you didn't realize. Now, if you didn't realize and you forgot, and then you realize, the Prophet ﷺ said, just carry on your fast. Because Allah says, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Our Lord, don't take us to account, do not blame us if we forget or we make an error. So here, if forgetting is an exception to eating and drinking. However, if you've made yourself a bowl of cereal in the morning, and you're eating away at this cereal, and you've eaten most of it, and then at the last moment you say, I'm fasting. And then you say, oh, actually, well, it's just one spoon. One spoon's not going to make much difference. I've just had a whole bowl. And then you take that last one spoon, what's happened to your fast? It's broken. Why? Because the bowl that you ate was out of forgetfulness. Now that you are aware, you have to stop. And if you're aware with something in your mouth, you got to spit it out and rinse your mouth. So that is also important to understand. Okay, so these are important points in terms of entering and abstaining from anything entering the body in turn from an open cavity. The second thing that we have to abstain from when we are fasting, remember, fasting is our intention and about abstaining from that which breaks the fast. The second thing is from vomiting intentionally. Okay, vomiting intentionally will break your fast. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man istaqa'a fala qada'a alayh." من استقاء فعليه القضاء ومن غلبه القيء فلا قضاء عليه. Whoever has caused himself to vomit, you put your finger inside your mouth, or you did something that has resulted in you vomiting, if you have done it on purpose, your fast has broken. However, if you haven't done it on purpose, meaning that you're ill and you happen to vomit, you ate something that didn't really quite fit you, then here there's nothing. You can just carry on your fast. You don't have to make up your fast. However, if you do vomit, actually what happens sometimes, people overeat, don't they? They overeat either in suhoor. You've overeaten, you've had so much suhoor, and then you've prayed your fajr, and then you went to lie down, and then the food is going to try and come out now. Because your food is up to here. You haven't allowed it to go down. If that food comes out unintentionally, you haven't broken your fast, but you have to make sure you go and rinse your mouth, or at least gargle your mouth, because vomit is najis. It's not tahir, it's not clean. You have to go and at least gargle, and that gargling is accepted because it's for a reason. It's not, you're not playing about. It's not abath. You are gargling for a reason. So that is the second thing. And then the third thing which you have to abstain from is about having intimate relations with your husband or your wife. So having intimate relations, and by intimate, I have to use the word intercourse, which is important. I know there's children here, but this kind of is important for us to know. You have to abstain from this, and that's because as the brother recited in the Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلَا تُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ. So you should not, do not approach your wives during the daytime. And this, obviously, approaching the wives in having a relationship will result in the fast breaking, and there are things that build upon it as well. In the same manner, masturbation will also result in breaking fast if it leads to ejaculation. Now, the next point is for a woman specifically. If a woman is going through her monthly cycle, or she is bleeding after giving birth, which we call postnatal bleeding, either hayd or nifas, then it is not allowed for her to fast. So it is haram for her to fast. The fast will not be accepted, and she should. It's a concession. Allah has allowed her to break her fast, and more so because we know that this kind of time is difficult. It might be accompanied with a lot of pain. There's bleeding, which means loss of nutrients and things like that. So Allah has given that concession. However, she's still obliged. So the obligation of fasting is still on her. She can't fast that day, but she has to make it up later on when she has finished from this. But note here, if she's bleeding, she can't fast. She's not allowed to fast. This is different from a more specific ruling related to pregnancy or breastfeeding. That's more detailed. We can talk about that later, inshallah. And these are the main things that make up, therefore, the obligation of fast, the pillars of fasting. The intention, the abstaining from all those things that break the fast. Is the time finished for the first session?
We have 4 minutes.
4 minutes, okay, 4 minutes. Now, we said that if a person, there's essentially two types of illness. There's illness which is long-term illness, chronic illness. Yeah, do you remember what I told you? Gave you some examples. Chronic illness. This is illness which a person is not going to get better. They always need medicine, they always need to eat, or whatever. This kind of person, they are not obliged to fast. Okay? Meaning that they don't have to fast. However, they have to do something instead of the fasting. And what is that? That's something called fidya. Fidya means a compensation that they have to pay. And we'll talk about that later, inshallah. However, if somebody is ill, but not in the illness which is chronic. So it's just a short term. It's a passing illness. They've got a cold, they've got a headache, they've got something which they is not making them well. Do they fast or do they not fast? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them the concession and the permissibility to not fast. So if they are ill and that illness affects them, it's an illness which they need to take medicine or they need to eat or whatever, then they have the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fast. فَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْكُمْ مَرِيضًا, Allah says, then they are allowed to fast. However, what is better for them? Is it better to fast or better not to fast? It really is something that they have to assess. And that is as follows. If a person thinks that their illness is something that they can manage, it's not going to get worse by them fasting, they can cope, and they can, then it's better for them to fast. Why? Because this is a special day. It's better than to leave an obligation on your head for later on. However, if they feel, no, I can't, this is affecting me, I might get worse, I can't do this, then it's better for them not to fast. So they have to assess their situation. And similarly for a person on journey. If you are on journey and it doesn't matter whether the journey is local, meaning local, it's within the UK, you're going to Manchester or Leicester or Wales or something, or you are traveling internationally, that doesn't matter as long as it's above the minimum distance, which is 50 miles. If you are traveling and you travel before Fajr, so here this is before the obligation has become on you, because the obligation hits the moment Fajr enters, then you have the permissibility to break your fast as well. Even if the travel is so easy. You say, no, you've had your suhoor and you've gone on a journey, and then you say, well, should I fast, should I not fast? I'm on journey. You have a choice to whether to break your fast or to carry on. The same as what we said for a person who is ill. If it's easy for you to fast whilst on journey, then it's better for you to fast. If it's hard for you to fast on journey, it's going to make your fast difficult, it's going to make your life hard, then it's better to break your fast. There's no we can't say it's better to fast when journey, or we can't say it's better to break your fast. It's going to depend on your situation, whether or not. So if you are not going to be harmed by fasting, it's better to fast. If you're going to be harmed, then don't fast. The person who is ill temporarily has a choice, we said, yeah? But when Ramadan ends, if they have not fasted, because they are obliged to fast, they're under the 4 categories: Islam, sound mind, adolescence, and able. So they have the ability, but that ability is only temporarily has been taken away from them. Once they get a chance after Ramadan, they have to make up that fast. Okay? If they are chronically ill, they don't have to make up that fast. And just 2 more points, and then we'll end, inshallah, for the first session. Point number 1 is that once Ramadan hits, you have an obligation to fast. And this is a scenario that sometimes happens to some people. Tomorrow is Ramadan, for example. And therefore, it's an obligation on us to fast, yeah? You didn't have an intention to fast. Mommy and daddy didn't wake you up for suhoor. And not only that, but they didn't tell you it's Ramadan. Yani it's one of those days. It's the 29th of Sha'ban. You don't know it's tomorrow Ramadan. Nobody told you. You woke up the next day, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and they said to you, oh, it's Ramadan, by the way. So you go around and say, oh, I didn't have the intention to fast, so there's no point in me fasting. I didn't have intention. Intention is important for my fast, so I might as well just have breakfast. We say no. Because it's Ramadan now, you have to fast, even though you didn't have the intention. However, your fast has to be made up. You have to make up another day. Why? Because you're missing the intention. So even though you didn't have the intention, you still have to fast because the obligation hasn't been removed from you. But because you didn't have the intention, you have to make up that fast. Similarly, it happens if somebody does the same thing but the other way around. Meaning that on the last day of Ramadan, the 30th of Ramadan, they thought it is Eid. So they woke up, they're all cheerful, it's Eid, they've got their Eid clothes on, they've got the balloons in their hand, okay, and they then go and eat some breakfast. But then somebody comes and says, it's not Eid today, it's Ramadan. They're making this mistake doesn't exempt them from the fact that they made a mistake, because they knew it was Ramadan, they thought it was Eid, but it turned out not to be Eid. Now it's Ramadan, you've eaten. It's not that you've forgotten, you didn't forget, you did it on purpose, but you thought it was Eid. Now we say to them, stop eating, fast the rest of the day, but then you're going to have to make up another day because you broke your fast and you didn't make the fast correctly. All right? We're going to stop there, inshallah, for now. I don't know if you want to have some questions now or you want to have all the questions at the end.
We'll leave it at the end, inshallah.
We'll leave it at the end, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair,
Okay.
Umar. We'll have just a quick break, just for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if that's okay. I will continue the second session, inshallah, after. There's food in here as well, sandwiches and some refreshment. Just feel free to grab a grub.
Now?